The President took office in 2013, he demanded proposing half the cabinet. That is when the rain started beating us. His proposals were too biased ethnically, and it left President Uhuru Kenyatta with no option but to work with the remaining half to accommodate the rest of Kenyans.
Jubilee Secretary General Raphael Tuju saying that the challenges you see with the leadership of President Kenyatta and William Ruto is something that started in 2013 when he demanded a 50% share of the government. I don't know where to start, but let me speak to the one who is in government now, because your party, was it APK, was also part of the Jubilee coalition in the very first term. And when URP and TNA came together, was it on the basis that they were going to share 50% of government? And when SG Tuju says that he demanded 50% of the government and insinuates that he went ahead to reward his ethnic friends, is it a fair assessment of what transpired in the first term of Jubilee?
Now here's where you say, God, give me wisdom. But then, first of all, let's start at 2013. 2013, we come. Yes, I was in the Alliance Party of Kenya, the MBAS, with Kiraito, with Lenny Kivuti. For us, today, let me say it, because sometimes it's good to say. Why we completely retained our MBAS, so that we don't join TNA or URP. And indeed, wherever Munya is, CS Munya and Kiraito are today, I know, because they were our leaders then. And there was just one thing. One thing we used to see through, and we would say, in this package, we are going to find a lot of challenges. And I remember one time Kiraito saying, you see, sometimes when you tell leaders that you are giving us a package that will not end well for the country, you know, they thought at that time we were very bad people. Because we were honest. We were saying, you are coming together, but this might cost the country. And this is where we are. These are the things we could not see through everything. But there was just something that you've come together because of just one interest. You feel you want to work. So one interest, the president is coming in a manner that I would want to come and bring back Kenya together. Your partner is coming in, we would want to come, we know there are numbers here, we can win and come back to government. And that was the biggest challenge. So even when we came in, it was that clear even in the first term. Oh yes, I mean, for those who had worked with the team from PNU, we were seeing, we could see, we were seeing beyond that, and we were saying, well, let us do it, but it will cost us at one point, because that trust. You see, you two have come in. It's the same way people have been blaming the Prime Minister with the President in this handshake thing. It's the same. You two are agreeing, but your cronies around here, you know, are very different. And the way they will think, it's not the way you will think. And so when they came in, 2013, we come in, and the president is very willingly, this is how we are going to work. In fact, the first thing is you come together and you're told, this is teamwork. We are going to work with teamwork. We will trust each other. And we have to ensure we deliver the pledges we have given Kenyans. So it started well, just the way in 2002. Well, you know, when you look at those things, they are very interesting. How you start, then the third year, we go well. In 2015, that is when a lot of things started now happening. Okay. But you see, we were blinding ourselves. Instead of facing them and dealing with them, each one was blinding themselves. And we could see there is a problem, but you see, you're fearing, because you are within that government, to say, this is a problem. Can we deal with it? It's going to cost us in 2017. So 2016 we come. I think by 2016 now the president had realized there are mistakes we have done in government, and I must rectify those mistakes. You see, the moment now he came out very boldly that he has to start rectifying the mistakes they have done. Mistakes of people now being blamed, corruption has come, and many things are now raveling. We go to the 2017 election. I think after the election, the first meeting that was held at State House is when the president came out and said, you see, I have to run this country now. I have to run and rectify the mistakes we have done. The good thing with the president, he appreciated their mistakes we have done, but he has to run his government to make sure things work.
Okay.
And people now change that perception.
Honorable Lachi, I want us to listen to another voice of Secretary General talking about how Deputy President William Ruto used numbers to blackmail his way around government, and will be weighing whether that is the truth or it's just a political statement at such a time.
During the 2013-2017 cycle, this blackmail was subtle and in private. It is not about numbers. This political speak, this I can say, this we can say, is to say I can pull out the support of my tribe if you do not get this for myself. If I do not get this for myself. It would probably be excusable if it is about support for the tribe, but it's now becoming clear for all Kenyans to see that it is about self. Ubinafsi na ulafi wa hali ya juu.
Quite a powerful statement there, ubinafsi na ulafi wa hali ya juu. But Dr. Chris Omalo, because you've been in this country and you've been in Parliament since 2013, when you listen to the SG talking about the Deputy President demanded 50% share of the government, I would imagine that was based on the coalition agreement between TNA and URP, because CAS here does not refute that. But we have had this narrative that the Deputy President brought his cronies and his friends, but it has never come from such a person like SG Tuju, who sits in cabinet. Is it true?
Thank you, Sam. In a marriage, Sam, during the time of divorce, allegations always come up. Your best partner, you have had kids, will even say, you don't satisfy in bed. You're not there to prove that. During divorce, all aspects of allegations will come in. When you read Article 152 of the Constitution, it's very clear. It is the president. In fact, it says the president shall nominate the cabinets with the approval of National Assembly. Once you've nominated and National Assembly has approved, the president shall appoint. There's no way I've read where it says it's the deputy president. So if they did their own consultation privately, we're not privy to that. So to me, Tuju cannot come and claim that the deputy president demanded the 50%. We don't know, we're not there. And us, we can only be guided by the Constitution. The appointing authority of cabinet, it is the president. It only says there must be issues of the 2/3 gender rule, the issues of the face of Kenya. And these nominated cabinet secretaries, they come to the floor of the House. It is the National Assembly. Once National Assembly approves, then the president appoints. And when you talk about the cabinet, the president is the head of the cabinet, it's part of the cabinet. The deputy president is part of that. So at a time like this, when there's a divorce, and you see people coming up with allegations, we must comment objectively. I've just given you an example of a marriage. I've had my friends, when they have issues, you'll see the wife coming up with some weird allegations. You'll see even the husband coming up with weird allegations. So when it comes to the issues of divorce, and at a time like this, of course we have seen there's wild divorce coming in Jubilee. So really what the SG is saying here, we're not privy to that, but we go as per the Constitution. Is the president who appoints the cabinet secretaries. He's not the deputy. And when they're falling out, for heaven's sake, these are their own internal matters that should be able to resolve. Even as when you were in NASA, there were, you know, the divorce was loud. You know, it was messy. it was noisy. And now when you look at Jubilee, what is happening, it's even worse. So really, to me, what the Cabinet Secretary Tuju is saying, and the SG, the Deputy President has no powers to appoint Cabinet Secretary. It is actually the President himself.
All right. And Senator Kasanga, what do you make of these pronouncements coming in the 9th year of the term of the Jubilee Party?
You know, for us who are mental health advocates, we'll tell you that relationships fail largely because of unmet expectations. So this is just a case of unmet expectations, especially from the two principals. And what pains me, and I hate usually discussing this issue, I hate discussing this fallout in Jubilee, and I hate it because of the impact it has had to our nation. And it's really unfortunate. It's unfortunate. The statements from Honorable Tuju coming at this 9th hour, I don't know what is the impact, and I don't know what it is he's trying to gain out of it. They've had a whole 9 years to deal with whatever unmet expectations that the relationship had. And largely also, it's a question of the two principals themselves. The two of them, I'm sure when they used to sit, just the two of them, who would know what was agreed or, you know, what they discussed, you know? But what I have to say here, and I've said it before, this breakdown of the Jubilee Party has caused our nation, our young people in this country, a lot. And it has cost us so much that I'm not sure how we shall recover the losses. And it's also very unfortunate that the media gives so much prominence to this issue, you know, at a time when we have 60,000 Kenyans who are starving today, at a time when we have the highest losses of COVID in the month of August and now into September. The only focus we have right now is about, you know, these issues, riches, people who have stolen, you know. We have really, really missed the point on this one. And I personally feel very strongly about it. And, you know, Tuju can say what he wants to say, but is he suggesting that they could not have dealt with it before it got to this point? You know, is he suggesting that this is the worst case scenario, that we don't have other cases of stolen riches, you know, in the country? Why only highlight this particular one? There's a lot more.
But isn't it a question of accountability? Because if the leadership of the country, this is what they're saying, why would we not talk about it? I mean,
no, we
Kenyans
can talk
elected
about
them
it.
to office.
I don't mind us talking about it. The question is the timing. You know, it's the timing. Why bring it out at this point right here, right now? You know?
I want us to listen to something else that the SG appears to say that the administration was being held hostage until some time after the 2017 election. Listen.
The blackmail stock options expiry date was immediately after the 2017 elections. The battery died after the handshake because the numbers game and the blackmail of withdrawal of tribal numbers lost political potency at that time.
And Javas, because you've observed politics for a bit of time in this country, and when the Secretary General is speaking like that, I remember last year while working on a project UhuRuto Maize, sometime in November 2020, spoke to a lot of leaders, both that are allied to the Deputy President and others that are allied to President Kenyatta, and they'll tell you of all those challenges, including what CAS Elachi here is talking about, the chronology of events. Are you surprised that now some of the senior-most people in government are speaking about this matter at this point in time, 11 months to the election?
Well, I think CS Tuju should spare the country this righteous indignation. As a matter of fact, let me say that we are so much accustomed to political maladjustment that we take what is wrong to be right and what is right to be wrong. When CS Tuju indicates that the Deputy President, and here, of course, from his statement, and his side were holding the government, and here government here I think is direct reference to President Kenyatta and his leadership, at ransom, I think it is one sad thing coming from him. The housekeeping issues of Jubilee should not be the thorn in the flesh of a nation. Much as we know that they are the administration, they are the party that is leading government right now, governance, the government of Kenya seems to be running on autopilot. That they seem to be so much obsessed with issues to do with the succession politics. And right now, for example, even when you read the headline of the Standard, Tuju indicating that it's put Ruto on KRA's radar, is it just a question of directing missiles to the deputy president on one side alone? If it's a question of matters to do with KRA and remittance of taxes, it is not in Tuju's place to direct or implore KRA to do its work. It must not be. The other thing is that we must not use institutions for political witch hunt. It is improper, it's in bad taste. I am not surprised at the current happenings because they started happening way back. If at all Tuju says that courtesy of the handshake, now the issue of holding persons or government at ransom ended, then we should have expected that in this second term, so much would have run smoothly, because the person who was holding the gun at the head of the other no longer holds that gun. But have we been seeing that smooth running of government affairs? No. Have we seen new cases of corruption in this second term? Yes. Have they been resolved? No. Old cases of corruption from 2013 through the dependency of the first term of Jubilee that emerged, the corruption cases, have they been handled and resolved? No. So how sincere are they? Jubilee is not sincere. Honorable Tuju is not sincere with his remarks. And I think that's why he said that he must spare Kenyans of his righteous indignation. Because that righteous attitude and thought, if at all it must be advanced, then let us say that all leaders within Jubilee government must be put on the table and properly examined. The issue of using small excuses to point direction for purposes possibly of political witch hunt or managing succession is a sad red herring that I think will not work.
And let's listen to what Tuju said in regards to the wealth of the deputy president.
By his own account, the deputy president is on video record when he told Kenyans that he was worth 100 million Kenya shillings sometime in the year 2015. In the intervening 7 years, he has worked very hard in his businesses, and now, therefore, he has assets like choppers, hotels, and land worth billions of shillings.
And CS Alachi, I know this might be uncomfortable for you, but now that you're on the show, let me just ask you this question.
Why uncomfortable?
Because he's your boss.
I'll just say what my heart will tell me.
Right.
By the way, that is me.
Okay. That's good then.
I have no issue.
That's good then, because
yeah.
SG
I'll just say the truth.
Is almost suggesting that the deputy president has accumulated wealth.
Did you say SG Sifuna? That's what you say.
Sorry, SG Tuju. My bad. SG Tuju appears to suggest that DP Ruto may have gotten or accumulated wealth through the wrong route, based on the fact that he questions how he's been able to accumulate beyond 100 million shillings to what he owns now. How do people make money in government?
Oh, this is how people make money in government. They look at the tenders. You have an opportunity, you are privileged, you are in that office. You either misuse that office by making sure you command your tender, but you have to learn. Or, during Kibaki's time, where we did tenders and many young people did tenders, is where you would just go, you'd never, there was no need of knowing who is who. But to be honest, in Kenya, government works in a very interesting way. And that's why some people have been, if you want to look at sectors, there are people who, those are their sectors. Whether Minister A comes in and goes, he will leave these people there. So there's a way it's like a web, you know. They are there, they've been there. All they do is, you who comes in as the leader, the minister, you will work and leave them. And they will come and get the next one, and they will continue working with them. That's how tenders work in this country. That's why young people cannot really penetrate. And that is why we were able now to bring in the 30% to go to young people and women, or else you will have never penetrated at all, which is something we need to break off, if I'm asked. It is time we need to look. If you are able to supply in government sector A, B, C, and you've been able to get those in government, then if we are indeed genuine to support many Kenyans to work with government, you can try again and look for other new people. Always bring in new people and see how it evolves, how they supply it, because you can't just tell me one person is the one who has the experience to supply certain thing, and he has supplied for 30 years in Gava. 30 years. He is there. You look, this company, you go deep, you'll find his name. It's not fair for a country where you're also growing, you're saying you're moving to industrialization. So it is there.
But Honorable Elachi,
yes,
when you say that people can use, I would want to call it abuse of office.
As we can use.
But
let me use the now friendly.
Abuse.
As in government, if you are not with the eye of saying, let us just work and help Kenyans to join into this thing, because it's business.
Okay.
And a young person might have a better way.
Let me raise the question.
This. Yes.
If you say that people can actually use their offices to do some funny things with tenders and accumulate wealth in the meantime,
yeah,
is it a possibility that the deputy president could have done that without the notice of the government itself and even his boss, so that SG Tuju would come to suggest...
Why are you with our Sifuna like this? Our son is very well.
My apologies, SG Sifuna. He was on the show yesterday. So that SG Tuju would come and say and question how the deputy president has accumulated wealth.
Well, let me not go in that now. Let me not say that I will understand why, because the deputy president has been in government, not when he became deputy president. When he started and when he became the MP of Eldoret North. So he has been in government. My deputy president has had so many issues. Mara, at one point, maize, at another point, you know. So I don't know where the accumulation of wealth came from. So I cannot now point and say. But being in government, he has had the privilege to do business and nobody to, and everyone in government. By the way, it's not just the deputy president. It will be wrong for us this morning to suggest that he's the only one. I think every leader in this country has worked with government. Every leader in this country, be it you, be it your families, they work in government. They do tenders in government, which is okay, because the law in this country allows. It does not say when you work in government, you cannot do business, until we agree as a country that we can put in a legislation that says conflict of interest, and therefore if you are working in government, you cannot do tenders. But for now, it is free for all. So anyone who is in government, be it the first family, be it all of us, are working within government, doing tenders. The question now should be, am I taking advantage of that by now making sure it is just me and my people and my family? That now should be the question. But in terms of the principle of doing that business, I think every Kenyan has a right, even those in government, even the president himself or the family will do business. Okay. But in a very open, and it should be transparent.
Right. Let's listen to Raphael Tuju again. I'm trying to avoid using the term SG, might take me somewhere. To what he said about, no, just listen.
May it please His Excellency, the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto, EGH, UPL, DL, CH, to show these our young people all the skills on how to acquire such property in such a short time. He should teach us, the clueless adults in this country, how we can do the same. We may not possess the supernatural powers of hard work that he has, but at least he should teach us something else apart from the wheelbarrows. Show us another way to perform such miracles.
First of all, I don't know what UPL, DL, and CH means, according to Raphael Tuju, unless CH means chief hustler. But that's my attempt. But Senator Kasanga, when you listen to all this, of course, at the end of the day, as the political leaders fight each other, there are Kenyans in this country who are hurting. There are young people who were below the age of 35 in 2013. They were youth when they voted. Today, they have crossed the mark. They're still facing challenges even further because now they have families, they have responsibilities, but things haven't worked for them. So what will a politician tell a Kenyan, a young Kenyan, that I'm going to change your fortunes if what you've been treated to is what you're seeing on TV?
Oh, it's a tough one. In fact, I said this in another forum of young people, and I said to them, you know, have your ears on the ground, listen, because we have wolves walking amongst sheep coming to tell you that they're going to change your lives, but they're looking for another opportunity to eat off of government. And you know, this electoral cycle, we have been graced with what I call cinema when it comes to how theft of public coffers has happened. Just this time of COVID alone, if you remember when we were dealing with issues of COVID last year, I mean, we were showcased how people steal from very vulnerable Kenyans at a time when you don't expect it. In as much as it was a global issue, still in our own country here, you could walk by KEMSA and get a tender. I even tried, but me, I didn't get. I hear people were walking by and they just get lucrative tenders. I mean, we were graced with unbelievable, you know, stories that came out in Parliament as well, the MES report. And you know, shockingly, even as Tuju is pinning down the Deputy President, we know of very many other people who are affiliated with government, who are not necessarily sitting in government positions, who have also benefited in this sense. And I wish if Tuju was honestly sincere, he should cast that net very widely and tell Kenyans, you know, let's deal with this thing in this way. Let everyone then come to the table, the way Javas was saying. Let everyone come to the table if he's being sincere about us fighting corruptions. And the young people must know that if any leader out there or any person of influence comes to you and tells you they're going to change their lives, yet they themselves have not even declared how they have found their own wealth, then they're not being sincere, and they should not listen to that person. That is the gospel I've been preaching to young people. And truly, as we go forward, me, my hope and my sincere wish is that Chapter 6 may be applied in the next election. And the next government that comes in must apply Chapter 6 without fear or favor. If at all we are going to move this country in any positive way, we have to deal with this issue so decisively. I know many other, you know, radical proposals have been given, but you know, we have a Bill of Rights, and we can't do what other countries we know have done to deal with the issue of corruption. If we are going to really give a future to our young people, you know, we can't now talk about, you know, people not being given the right to be heard. You know, we've already canvassed that as a nation and in our constitution. But Chapter 6 must apply. And I keep saying that the threshold should probably be brought a little down, such that if at all there is a question on your integrity, if there's a question on whether you've acquired your, you know, how you've acquired your wealth, if there's a question on it, unless it is cleared, you should not be serving in Parliament or in government, so to speak. And what Honorable Elache has said is also true. It's time in this country, this issue of conflict of interest, we have to come out clear with it. You cannot be a public servant and still doing business in government. I mean, that is wrong. I don't even know at what point
is there any
that
attempt,
should change.
Is there any attempt to effect what you're saying through Parliament?
I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't know. I can't tell you.
I mean,
what
you're a parliamentarian. You can
happening
propose.
In Parliament. No, I could propose, yes, but I haven't proposed. But somebody else maybe has. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot happening in the National Assembly and even in Parliament. Like I said, I can't come here and say nothing is being done. I don't know. Because this is a conversation that has happened in some of our platforms. I think even in Oka we discussed this issue.
Right.
You cannot be a public servant and you're doing business. And, you know, that is something we have to rein in on if we are really going to deal decisively with the future of our young people.
Okay, there's something that, just hold on, Dr. Omalo. There's something Raphael Tuju said about a tax obligation on the side of the Deputy President. Listen.
The only thing left in his wonderful act of transparency is for him to show us the figures with respect to his very big payment to Kenya Revenue Authority. A great leader should lead from the front. We request that as a person who is also a good Bible-quoting born-again Christian, he will shame the devil and publicly give all Kenyans this information. Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and unto God what belongs to God. Mark 12:17.
Dr. Omalo, there's a general assessment or perception that people who do business with government are not very honest people when it comes to declaring what business they've done, when it comes to declaring the profits they've made. They will deploy tax evasion and tax avoidance tricks here and there. But as you assess it, is it rightfully placed for SG Tuju to make such a demand on tax obligation on the side of the Deputy President? But secondly, how would you suggest moving forward public officers or people that serve in government deal with projects within government?
Yeah, thank you, Sam, very much. I've been watching Honorable Tuju, who is the SG of Jubilee, at the same time is the Cabinet Secretary. Whatever he has said to me, I think it is something serious, particularly at such a time when we are going towards elections. And if at all he has any evidence that maybe the Deputy President does not pay taxes, we have institutions in this country that are responsible for matters of taxation. And in this case, it is Kenya Revenue Authority. It is the only one. And every Kenyan, including the Deputy President, including the President, you must fill those declaration forms at the end of every financial year. So if there is any doubt, we should now look at KRA. KRA is the only body that is responsible to evaluate each individual in terms of your tax obligation. It has that authority, it has the mandate and everything, but not just any person. Coming to the issues of corruption, from the utterances of Tuju, he's trying to question the accumulation of wealth by the Deputy President. We have a body called Ethics and Anti-Corruption. And leaders, before we go for elections, we normally file returns. There's a form that we fill that goes to ESCC. Why do we do that? The ESCC has a responsibility to track and be able to see if in this particular financial year, your worthiness, let's say, was 20 million. So come 5 years down the line, you are 100 million. You must give a justification how you acquired that extra wealth. And in case whatever you declared is not true, there's also the repercussions that are supposed to be there. So let's leave it to the ESCC. Okay. The ESCC has the documents about His Excellency the Deputy President. They'll be able to track and give the Deputy President an opportunity. But the fair hearing says you are innocent until proven guilty.
Do you think this statement has any potential to cause motion on the side of these other bodies that are supposed to monitor? Of course. This is the Secretary General of the ruling party. He's a cabinet secretary. Once you come up with such obligations, in fact, even His Excellency the Deputy President, he must also be prepared to come and respond on this matter, because the way he has been mentioned, he can't just let it go. But now it calls upon the responsible bodies, the bodies that are responsible on matters of taxation. Kenyans will be asking that if the Deputy President has ABCD, has he been paying the taxes? Because he's casting aspersions in terms of the DP paying taxation. Okay. So the responsible bodies like KRA, they must also come in, move in, and Kenyans will want to hear whether these allegations are just propaganda or it's true when it comes to ethics and anti-corruption. Because he's bringing up, he has quoted the Bible, he has brought it on matters of corruption. The institution responsible on matters of corruption is ESCC. So they have an obligation. ESCC, as we speak now, they should respond to these allegations. And even the Deputy President himself, because he's a leader. And if somebody is trying to come across, maybe to paint him negatively, he has to come and give a justification. Okay, let's listen to what the Deputy President said sometime last week after CS Matiang'i went to Parliament and told the Security Committee that the Deputy President owns quite a bit of property, that he is given state protection in terms of security. Listen.
Sasa hawa wametusaidia ndio ijulikane wazi, sio lazima ukue maskini ndio ukue hustler. Hustler is a different thing. Na hustler haitakuwa vita kati ya watu maskini na tajiri. So wametusaidia katika hiyo kufafanua ya kwamba huyu William Ruto sio mtu maskini, ako na mali. Na yeye ni hustler. Kumaanisha sio lazima uwe maskini ndio ukue hustler. Hustler ni kumaanisha unaweza kupanda ngazi uende juu.
Well, Javas Pigambo, what are your thoughts and what is it culminating into? Because at the end of the day, it appears it's politicians versus politicians fighting to outwit each other to gain power. But what are we learning when it comes to the relationship between wealth and politics? And secondly, the question of accountability, despite our very progressive constitution that is here to tame bad manners in government?
Well, I think in these electioneering periods, each day a new crucible is uncovered and brings out new steam. You see, in Kenya, we realize that money plays a very crucial role in financing politics and running politics. In fact, as even the elected legislator here, Amadwa, would perhaps tell you, that if at all you are seen not to have money, generally on the ground, people may not even want to listen to what you may have to offer if you are to be given the chance to serve. So money drives a lot. But we also know, besides money driving a lot, you need so much money to finance a campaign. And at times, I think we must come to appreciate that money has given people a good name, but also a bad name in our politics. What we need to do is to appreciate that if it's a question of seeking money and wealth, let it be sought in a manner that is transparent and clear and accountable and justifiable. But listening to the Deputy President, of course, he comes out to acknowledge that whatever narrative is pushing for, the hustler nation narrative, is not necessarily to demonstrate or does not indicate that it is a movement or a nation of paupers. That everybody can become part of that movement, whether you have got wealth or no wealth. Of course, we are in a commonwealth. And I think what we need to see now here is, if at all the Deputy President has been speaking to the issues of the hustler narrative, the hustler movement, the hustler nation, then what exactly does he mean within the issues, the lines within the hustler narratives? So that when he comes out to say that he is rich, yes, but still advancing the cause of the poor, then he wants to help the poor maybe to move to a different direction. But I think one may want to agree in the end that you do not have to be such limited to embrace a particular narrative. In the civil rights movement in the US, it was led by struggling black Americans. It was led by people like Dr. King, who are PhD holders. So I think it's a question, it gives them now a chance to redefine this entire narrative. But the other thing is that he seems to have stirred a storm by his hustler narrative, and now it's attracted all these moths around that light.
Do you think politicians, well, three of them are in studio, but do you think politicians are honest people?
Well, I think most Kenyans are honest who end up becoming politicians, but the moment they become politicians, some of them are converted into a different faith that truth and honesty does not abide. But it would be wrong to say that politicians are not honest people, because some serve honestly, some pursue the cause for the greater good of the nation and the people. And it also depends what's the operational definition of this honesty, because some could be honest in their lies. So the operational definition of this honesty now comes to fore.
Okay.
But I think generally, Kenya has got some good politicians, just as much as some are not really so good and so honest.
You mean S-O-M-E,
and you are
right? Because my name is Sam Gituku. I just want to know what Sam you're talking about. But Honorable Elachi, so when time to review the Jubilee administration comes, what do you think Kenyans will say about the tenure of Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, and what lessons must we learn moving ahead, even as the season of alliances is on?
Well, I think what Kenyans will, what we need to learn, let me not say, Kenyans will say everything. And I think because of many of the challenges that are there, we still have Kenyans who believe in the president. We still have Kenyans who believe in the deputy president. We still have Kenyans who believe in the prime minister. And as I always say, we are just like Americans. Those who believe in the Republicans are there. They are strongly there. They will laugh with you, but when the day comes, they will just go back to where they believe. This is where our ideology has been, and this is what we have always believed in. So it's very unlikely, because I see people say, oh, you have moved Some of the people are just moving because they feel that there's a winning wave that side. Let me just go. But in the heart, they are still the same people, by the way. And when it comes to that vote, that is why I always say, today in Kenya, one of the things I have learned is that you will understand Kenyans on the vote, the day you count their vote. Not the day they come to your rally, not the day you are fighting, not the day. So, but in all this, what I would wish is that sometimes in strategy, there are many ways of doing a strategy. And sometimes when you find sort of a conflict which is an internal conflict like this within Jubilee, which has been there even the times, you remember during Kibaki's time, we had the same conflict when now they realized there was an MOU, this MOU was never told to us, and all those things happened, and that time former Prime Minister decided, look, but you see they had a place to ventilate their anger. So they went with the referendum, even what was good, what was best for the country had to flop. Why? Anger. And there, that is where that anger first was depressed. You see now here, you're building emotions and you're continuing to build emotions. What I will really beg is that there are different ways of doing all these things and achieving what you want to achieve, but not the way we are building now the emotions. We are building the emotions in a manner that is becoming very, 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 when you look at it, it's not very good. It will take us, let us not go back to the steps which Jubilee believed in. You see, when Jubilee were coming together, they said never again will they want to see the country in such a tension. But we are here. Honestly, Jubilee, we are here. That's why you're taking us. You're taking us to a tension that is not good. You're pushing, you're really pushing, and you're forgetting you have supporters behind who are also very emotional. So when they find each other, they just want to wreck each other.
At this point in time, is there any turning back? Is it even possible?
I want to ask them today this question. Does it mean that we did it here, but inside our hearts, we never forgave each other? Because surely, even to the deputy president, if God has said you will be president, do you know God will just make it? In fact, you don't need to struggle. You don't need to go into all these things we are doing. No, 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 no. In God's process, I doubt whether we have all these things we are doing now. In God's process, it cannot be. It cannot be. You can push yourselves to the level you have reached. And so if indeed they believe in God, then they have to come back in the manner of how things are worked within the realm of God. Things work themselves. In fact, people coerce to you. People move with you. You don't struggle in many things. But what they are trying to tell us now is where we are, we want to now push, and now we are about to put the sun on our neck, you know, because you are making every day, it is becoming very difficult to find a way of how to resolve this in the right way.
And Dr. Chris Omalwa, she speaks about the hearts. I don't know whether politics is a game of persuasion of minds or hearts or both.
It's interest.
But
interest.
Dr. Omalwa, as you look at that, you're in talks to form an alliance, One Kenya Alliance, that is Fort Kenya, Wiper, ANC, and KANU. And there has been talk that eventually might work in a bigger platform. But what lessons are you taking to that new coalition, knowing that there can be different characters of different leaders, competing interests, whether personal or political? What lessons are you learning that will be useful if this country is to survive the next 10 years? That's
a very good question. And before you answer, I want to invite you to read a book by Dr. Shemo Chwodho, Intrigues of MOUs stroke coalitions. In this country, some have been privileged to have been in two coalitions. That is the CORD coalition and NASA coalition at a senior management level. I've been involved in matters of the development of the manifestos, national campaign, and all that. And what we can borrow from that. And this is why you're also seeing the Jubilee aspect, why you're seeing this divorce is gonna be noisy, messy, and all that. Is in a coalition is like a marriage. One fundamental issue, there must be respect for each other. Respect is critical. Secondly, their interests, as Honorable Elijah said, politicians have interests. and it's the issue of interest that drives the process. So there are those irreducible minimums. People come on a table, and the principle of negotiation is it must be a give and take. And it must be a win-win for all of us. So one of the critical lessons we've learned, yes, I've mentioned about the issue of respect for each partner. Secondly, the issue of win-win. Don't go to a coalition and you expect to win as the other person is losing. There must be a win-win. Thirdly, there must be the issue of flexibility. You can't go to a coalition and you be rigid. Just like in a marriage, a coalition is like a marriage. When you come together as a husband and a wife, you've come from different backgrounds, and you must come together, be flexible to each other, and accept each other the way the person is, despite his or her weakness.
Do you think that can change once you assume power, once you assume office?
Now, if those principles cut across, we should not have a conflict at all. When you know, I say like a marriage, when you enter into a marriage, you say till death parts, isn't it? But challenges are there. So in the event that the challenges are there, you must respect each other. You must be flexible. It must be a win-win. You must drive together. Right now, what we're seeing in Jubilee, we are seeing the deputy president's ambition is totally different. That's why we've had Kieleweke and the issue of Tanga. It's about defining the interests. So as we move forward as in One Kenya Alliance, we understand the critical issue here, respect for each other. Secondly, we don't have this thing of rigidity. It's about flexibility. We value our partners so that appreciate your partner. He might be weak, yes. And I like using this verse in the Bible where it says, the weak stone that was rejected by the builders, it became the cornerstone. So if we can put those principles together, we'll go very far. There's no relationship or a coalition that doesn't have challenges.
All right, Dr. Malaya here, you're Senator Kasanga. So there has been talk over time that probably our politics is too tribal, it's too regional. If we are to survive without these shackles, how then do we move on and achieve the greater dream of Kenyans through politics, which as it has been seen in the past 9 or so years, it has also been part of the biggest challenges that Kenya has faced, that is politics.
Yeah, our politics defines us, and it is true about the tribal, and that is something you can trace back to post-independence Kenya. And then currently, coincidentally, when the boundaries were done in 2010 Constitution, again the boundaries were put in tribal lines, which is really unfortunate. Honestly, I've always wondered, why didn't we think of moving our boundaries such that if you come, say, to Makueni is joined maybe with Kajiado, and you find that our county assemblies then have, the mixture of the different tribes, so that we can begin to address how we can celebrate our different, ethnicity, as well as, make it part of our governance. That would have been really an ideal situation to start dealing with the negative perceptions that we have towards tribalism. But that's not to say that there should be such negative tribal connotations. I am one proponent that we must celebrate our tribe. And, as you celebrate your tribe, your heritage, it does not mean then it should be used negatively. And you see why sometimes it tends to be used negatively is because then you take your numbers, they are tribal, and you use that now to get into power for control of resources. Then it now becomes really negative. And especially now when, as you control the resources, you don't spread them enough, and you forget that the rest are also part of you, they're also Kenyans. So that brings in then the negative aspect of the tribes that we should be truly celebrating. So it is honestly my view that one day we have to sit down as a country and figure out, do we move around our boundaries, or do we put in laws that then we can mix ourselves up, or how else then do we address this issue of tribe and our governance?
All right.
But most importantly, there should not be any reason why our election should leave us so divided and so painful, And even now, something actually Honorable Elachi has said when she was talking, which it has really, struck a chord with me, is that as we are running up towards the election, even now you can see the rhetoric is not good. Things are changing. there are battles happening in Laikipia. Usually they start around this time. And you'd have thought this country where we have reached today, we would not have a repeat of what you're already seeing. You can see the political language is beginning to heighten. You're seeing a lot of hateful, in fact, social media being the best is also now cutting, double-edged sword.
Right.
You can see people, they record themselves with hateful words, and then it spreads. And I'm wondering what NCIC and all the other bodies who we've put in place are going to do about.
Unfortunately,
this
some of those
issue.
are politicians.
Yes, they are politicians. Again, with their interests, like we have said. Everyone, politicians have their interests, and there are those who want to, come into power.
Okay.
But the way we are going about it now is clearly the wrong way, because now, again, like Elachi has said, we are pushing the country now in the wrong direction.
Okay.
And this is something we really have to discuss in these platforms here. We have to address these issues so that we ring-fence these people who are using, Kenyans in a negative way for their own, to try and get their own agenda.
I hear you, Senator. And Javas, I want you to have the final word. It's a rare honor. Kidding. Look, Jimmy Kibaki, the son of President Mwai Kibaki, says that President Kibaki feels the 90s was a lost decade. How will history judge the 10 years from 2013 until 2022?
The starting point is that President Kenyatta took office through a very smooth transition. It is incumbent upon President Kenyatta to ensure that as he exits office, there must be a smooth transition. If at all there is no smooth transition, President Kenyatta will have failed thoroughly, and history will judge him harshly. These are the truths that we must speak. The other thing is that we must make sure we begin a new culture of making transitions a normal, not something that people go after each other's necks and lives and property. And that's why when we see this kind of rhetorics from political parties, the divisions within Jubilee, a party driving the nation to different directions, it worries everybody else. We must appreciate that every time we go to an election, we are renegotiating our nationalism, we are seeking to reclaim our nationalism. That nationalism is about our brotherhood, our inclusivity. This is the spirit that President Kenyatta and his Jubilee government must do. These 10 years will be a waste, if at all. Even the infrastructure projects that the Jubilee administration has undertaken do not lead to a peaceful nation that we all so much desire. The other truth is that President Kenyatta, he promised, for example, through the first Jubilee manifesto, the second Jubilee manifesto, they have not delivered much successfully in this second time. On the 17th page of the Standard today, they're talking about over 60,000 people facing starvation. Yet, we know the issue of food security is one of the big four agenda issues. The CS Tuju, who is in cabinet and the SG for Jubilee, is best placed to keep on reminding the government, as he said himself on record, that why he's a CS without portfolio is to ensure that there is a bridge, a nexus between the commitments of the party and the administration of President Kenyatta. These are the truths that must be said, and he must concentrate on that and not being driven by vindictiveness on political narrow interests. If at all, any of us must die because of these truths, then we are enough to suffer Kenya loss. If to live, the fewer we are, the better for us, and the greater the share of honor.
Well, quite a final word. Jenga Wakumo on Twitter is saying that for us to take such a long time to reconstitute IBC means there are always, quote-unquote, mighty hands behind an unstable election for their own reasons. It's not a secret that Kenya's peace and stability hinges on how we conduct elections. Jacob Abere, point of information to Honorable Chris Omalwa on IBC. As the electoral process is concerned, a referee has no power on how games work. He or she follows guidelines. So as of now, IBC has a lot of mess. Example is trust and faith. Bigambo is completely correct. Athanas Mavuti, Tuju's statement on Ruto demanding 50% share is correct because this was the agreement when they merged their parties. Ruto had numbers, and if he could have taken those numbers behind Raila, Raila could have won the election. Ruto was right to demand 50%. Well, Engineer Lazaro, UhuRuto themselves are the ones in a position to explain where the rain started to beat them. It seems there is more than what's in the public domain. Otherwise, personal attack to each other should be condemned by everyone. Maganga Mustaf, UhuRuto administration was a coalition pact between the two leaders. During campaigns, we have campaign committees which end up as the government. So the issue of tribal appointment to the cabinet is excusal. Or is an excuse, you mean? You cannot be picked from your bed. That is Maganga Mustaf saying that. For more details of what may have happened between the relationship of William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta, there is something you can watch on YouTube. It's called UhuRuto Maze. It's a piece that we produced last year in November. And some of those things that are getting revealed now, you'll find them, or tidbits of it, in that report. My name is Sam Gituko. Thank you so much, Javas Bigambo, CAS Beatrice Alachi, Senator Sylvia Kasanga, and Dr. Chris Omalo for making time for us. Up next, we'll be crossing over to listen to an interview of Jeff Kuria of Inoro FM with Musalia Mudavadi, the ANC party leader. They are engaging on different matters of interest to the country. Do listen and see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Naanza kuwa tofauti. Tumeanza kuona mtindo ambao mimi ningesema ni lazima tuchunge kama Wakenya, kwa sababu tumeanza kuona dalili ambazo zinaweza tusumbua tukikaribia uchaguzi. Tunaanza kuona siasa ambazo hazina heshima. Tumeanza kuona mambo ya matusi katika matamushi ya wanasiasa na wafasi wao, na tumeanza kuona ghasia zikizuka kama kule Laikipia. Ukiona yale yanatendeka kule, tusifikiri ni mchezo. Mara kwa mara ghasia za siasa huanza tu vile tunavyoona ama tunavyotazama sasa. Kwa hivyo ni wajibu wa Wakenya wote na wahusika wote, mimi nikiwemo na wewe ukiwemo, Bwana Kuria, tuhakikishe kwamba tutazingatia sheria na tuzungumze siasa za kiheshima, hata kama tuko kwa mirengo tofauti, lakini heshima ni kitu kikubwa.
Kwa kifupi, rais alitoa onyo kuhusu mikutano ya kisiasa, vile vile kwenda kanisani, na wanasiasa wengi sasa wameanza kujiingiza katika makanisa, wewe ukiwemo. Hapo utasema vipi? Ulikuwa Nyandarua juzi, ulikuwa